Hey everyone. Ever feel like you're kind of stuck on autopilot, doing the same things day after day?
It's like we're creatures of habit.
Well, today we're going deep on habits. Those sneaky little routines that secretly run our lives.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to unpack Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit.
Great book.
Figure out how those habits work, why they're so hard to break, and most importantly, how you can use that knowledge to make some serious changes.
It's powerful stuff. You know, habits really influence us, sometimes without us even realizing it.
It's true.
Think about it. From brushing your teeth to scrolling through social media.
Right.
They're the invisible forces behind so many of our actions.
Totally. It's like our brains are on autopilot half the time.
Definitely.
Duhigg calls it the habit loop.
Yeah.
Right? This three-part cycle that explains why we do what we do.
Yeah, it's a great way to think about it.
So how does this habit loop thing work?
Well, it all starts with a cue. Like, think about that 3 p.m. slump that makes you crave a sugary snack.
Oh, yeah.
That slump, that's your cue. Okay. The cue triggers a routine. In this case, heading to the vending machine. And then comes the reward. That quick burst of energy. And maybe a little regret.
Yeah. So if we can figure out what's triggering the routine and what reward we're chasing,
right,
we can actually change the habit.
Exactly. Like rewiring your brain's circuitry. Let's say your reward is actually stress relief, not the sugar.
Okay.
Maybe you could swap that vending machine run for like a quick walk or a few minutes of meditation, something that gives you that same sense of calm without the sugar crash.
Okay, so we're not stuck with our bad habits. That's a relief. But Duhigg also talks about these keystone habits.
Yes.
That are like next level. What are those all about?
Think of keystone habits as the VIPs of the habit world. They're the ones that have this ripple effect, you know?
Okay.
Setting off positive changes in other areas of your life.
Okay.
Almost like one habit unlocks a chain reaction of awesome.
So like what kind of habit could have that kind of power?
Well, Duhigg talks about making your bed every morning. Sounds simple, right?
Yeah.
But that one small act can set the tone for a more productive, more organized day. It's like telling your brain, hey, we're in control here, and we're going to make good choices all day long.
Wait, are you telling me that making my bed could actually make me more productive?
It might sound crazy, but think about it.
Yeah.
Starting your day with a small accomplishment, like a neatly made bed, can create a sense of momentum.
Oh, interesting.
That carries over into other areas.
Right. I'm sold. From now on, I'm a bed-making machine.
But Duhigg also mentions the importance of belief when it comes to changing habits.
Oh, absolutely.
What's that all about?
You know, it's easy to get discouraged when you're trying to break a bad habit.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Belief is like this secret ingredient that makes change possible. If you truly believe you can transform, you're way more likely to put in the effort.
So it's not just about willpower.
Right.
It's about believing in yourself. Absolutely. And it makes sense, right? If you're convinced you're going to fail, you're probably not going to try very hard.
Makes sense.
But when you have that deep down belief in your ability to change, it fuels your motivation and helps you stay committed.
That's so true. But what if you're struggling to believe in yourself? Where does that belief come from?
Well, sometimes it comes from personal experience. Like maybe you've successfully changed a habit in the past, so you know it's possible.
So past successes can boost your confidence. What else?
Sometimes belief comes from seeing other people make amazing changes.
Oh.
Like imagine you have a friend who completely transformed their health by developing healthier habits. Their success can inspire you and show you that it's possible for you too.
That's such a powerful point.
Yeah.
Seeing someone else achieve what you want can totally shift your mindset.
Exactly. And then there's the power of community. Being part of a group of people who are all working towards similar goals can provide incredible support and reinforce that belief.
So it's like having a cheerleading squad for your habits. I love that idea.
Right. Think about support groups for people trying to quit smoking or lose weight. The shared belief and encouragement from the group helps people stay motivated and overcome challenges.
This is all starting to make so much sense. It's not just about forcing yourself to change. It's about creating the right conditions for change to happen.
Precisely. And that brings us to another fascinating aspect of Duhigg's book, the role of habits in organizations.
Wait, companies have habits. What does that even mean?
Think about it. Companies have routines, cultures, unwritten rules, all these things that influence how people behave at work.
Okay.
These patterns are often driven by ingrained habits, whether they realize it or not.
So like a company's culture of staying late and working weekends could be seen as a kind of collective habit.
Exactly. And these organizational habits can be positive.
Yeah.
Think of a company known for its exceptional customer service.
Right.
Or they can be negative, leading to inefficiency and stagnation.
So how do you go about changing a company's habits? Seems like it would be a lot harder than changing an individual's habits.
It definitely presents unique challenges. Duhigg has a whole section about this. But one of the most intriguing things he talks about is how companies can leverage moments of crisis to reshape their habits.
What do you mean? Like use a crisis as an opportunity for change?
Yes. It's like when there's a major disruption,
Yeah.
It shakes things up and makes people more open to new ways of doing things.
Give me an example. How could a company use a crisis to change its habits?
Well, imagine a company facing a sudden drop in sales. They might be more willing to try a radical new marketing strategy or rethink their entire product line than they would be during a period of steady growth.
That's fascinating. It's like the crisis creates a window of opportunity to break free from old patterns and try something new.
Exactly. And Duhigg provides some really compelling examples of companies that have successfully used this approach to transform their cultures and achieve amazing results.
So even though crises can be tough, they can also be powerful catalysts for positive change, both for individuals and organizations.
That's such an important takeaway. It's about reframing how we view those moments of disruption. They can be scary, yes, but they can also be opportunities for growth and transformation.
Okay, that's super inspiring. So far, we've covered how habits work, why some are more important than others, how belief plays a crucial role in making change happen. We've even touched on how companies can use habits to create positive change. But how can we apply all of this to our own lives? Where do we even begin?
Well, before we dive into the nitty-gritty of breaking bad habits and building new ones, I think it's important to understand what Duhigg calls the golden rule of habit change.
Ooh, the golden rule. Sounds important. I'm all ears. Okay, so let's unlock those secrets of the golden rule of habit change. What's the big reveal?
Well, the golden rule is like deceptively simple, but it's powerful. You can't just like eliminate a bad habit. You have to replace it.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying I can't just stop doing something? I've been doing it for years. I had to swap it out with something else.
That's the idea. Think about it. Those routines, they're like etched into your brain.
Yeah.
It's not about erasing. It's about rerouting them.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do you actually, how do you replace a habit? Let's say I have a habit of biting my nails when I'm stressed. What could I possibly replace that with?
That's a great example. Nail biting, it's often a way to cope with anxiety.
Right.
So instead of just telling yourself to stop, you need to find a different behavior that provides a similar sense of relief or distraction.
So what could work? Give me some ideas.
Imagine keeping a small stress ball in your pocket and you give it a squeeze when you feel that urge.
Okay.
Or maybe try some deep breathing exercises. Those can be really calming. Or even listening to your favorite music.
Ooh, I like that.
It provides that distraction.
It's like tricking my brain into feeling better without the nail biting.
Exactly. And you know what else? Duhigg talks about how even tiny changes can have a huge impact when you're replacing habits.
Really? How small are we talking?
He uses this example of a woman. She wanted to stop eating so much junk food. And instead of overhauling her whole diet, she started with one small change. Every time she wanted to grab a bag of chips, she'd first drink a full glass of water.
That's it. Just water.
Yep. And guess what? It worked.
Wow.
Often she realized she wasn't actually hungry, just thirsty.
Interesting.
And even when she still wanted the chips after the water, the act of pausing and consciously choosing something different helped her break that automatic habit.
Wow. I never would have thought of that. It's amazing how such a small change can make such a big difference.
It is.
It reminds me of that saying, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Exactly. It's about gradual changes, not becoming a different person overnight. And that brings us to another crucial part of habit change, willpower.
Ugh, willpower, that's the thing that always seems to let me down. Is there any way to, actually strengthen it? Or are we just stuck with what we've got?
Well, get this. Research suggests that willpower is kind of like a muscle. It can be trained and developed.
Really? So I can pump up my willpower like a pump iron at the gym?
Well, not exactly like hitting the gym, but the principle is similar. Just like your muscles get tired after a workout. Your willpower gets depleted after a long day of making decisions.
Right.
Resisting those temptations.
Okay, so that explains why it's so hard to resist that second slice of cake after a stressful day.
Right.
I've already used up all my willpower.
Exactly. And that's why Duhigg suggests tackling your toughest tasks early in the day.
Got it.
When your willpower is fresh.
Strategic willpower deployment.
Yes.
But there's more to it than just individual willpower, right?
Duhigg also talks about the role of habits in organizations.
Absolutely. He points out that companies often have these, like, unwritten rules that shape how people behave.
Yeah.
They're like these unspoken expectations. They influence decisions and actions.
Even though they're not official policies.
Can you give me an example of one of these unwritten rules?
Think about a company where everyone stays late, even if their work is done.
Yeah.
No one ever said you have to, but everyone does it.
It's like this invisible pressure to conform.
Exactly. And those unwritten rules are often rooted in habits that have developed over time. Maybe a manager always praised people who stayed late.
Mm-hmm.
That behavior became part of the culture.
So how can you change those kinds of habits? Especially when they're part of the company culture.
Duhigg gives a great example of how Alcoa, a huge aluminum company, completely transformed its safety culture.
Oh, wow.
They made it a rule that managers had to regularly talk to employees about safety. Not just like some annual training, but as a regular thing.
So simple.
Right.
But I guess that kind of consistent communication really shifts things.
Exactly. It creates this culture where safety is top of mind for everyone. And, it becomes part of the fabric of the organization. And what's really interesting is that Duhigg argues that companies that are good at changing their habits often have strong cultures of belief.
There's that belief thing again.
Right.
So it's not just individuals believing in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's about creating a culture where everyone believes in the possibility of change.
That's a big part of it, yes. When people feel like they're part of something bigger and they truly believe that change is possible, it creates this incredible energy.
So if we're trying to apply these ideas to our own lives, what's the takeaway?
I think the key is to start paying attention to the habits that are shaping our lives, both the good and the bad. Once we understand how they work, we can start to make choices about which ones to keep, which ones to change, and how we're going to do it.
It's like we're taking control of the autopilot instead of letting it fly us wherever it wants to go. We're the architects of our own lives, consciously designing those habits that will lead us to where we want to be.
That's a great way to put it. It's about taking control and giving yourself the best possible chance of success.
This deep dive has given me so much to think about. I feel like I'm finally starting to understand these habits, and I'm inspired to take action.
That's fantastic. And we're not done yet.
Right.
Duhigg has so much more to say about how habits can be used to create change, not just in our lives, but in our communities and the world.
Okay, I'm totally hooked. Let's keep exploring. So you mentioned before that Duhigg talks about habits being used for, something bigger than ourselves.
It's really incredible. He shows how habits can actually be the driving force behind these big movements that create lasting change. Think about the Montgomery bus boycott.
Oh, yeah.
Sparked by Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat.
Wow, that's a powerful example. Her individual act, rooted in her beliefs and her habits,
right,
sparked this whole movement.
It's like a ripple effect. One person's choice can ignite a wave of change that impacts so many others. Makes you realize we're not just passive bystanders. We can shape our destinies and, influence the world around us through our actions, our everyday actions.
And mind-blowing.
It really is. And Duhigg doesn't stop there.
Right.
He also explores how organizations can do this too. Harness the power of habit to create positive social impact.
Interesting.
He uses Alcoholics Anonymous as a prime example.
Okay.
They've helped millions of people overcome addiction, right?
Right.
By building a system of habits that support sobriety,
Yeah.
personal transformation.
So it's not just about individual self-improvement. It's about creating a culture of positive change.
Exactly.
Whether it's in a company, a community, or even society as a whole.
Absolutely. It's about understanding that habits are these building blocks of change. They can be used to create a better world.
This entire deep dive has been such an eye-opener.
I'm laughing.
I'm already seeing my own habits in a new light, and I'm feeling inspired.
That's great.
So what's the one key takeaway you hope listeners will walk away with? What's the most important thing to remember about the power of habit?
I'd say this. Start paying attention.
To what?
To those little routines that you do almost without thinking.
Okay.
Ask yourself, which ones serve me well and which ones might I want to hack?
Right.
For a better outcome. The power to change It's all in your hands, in your habits.
You know what? This whole conversation has made me realize that, like, crises,
Yeah.
even though they're tough, they can be these incredible opportunities to actually reshape our habits.
It's so true. Think about a time in your life when you faced a big challenge. It could be a job loss, a health scare, even just feeling stuck. Those difficult moments, they often shake us up, make us more open to change.
It's like the ground is shifting beneath our feet.
Yeah.
And we're forced to reevaluate.
Exactly. And in those moments, we have a choice. We can either cling to our old habits and resist, or we can see it as a chance to create new ones, better ones.
So if we're feeling stuck, maybe we need to look for those opportunities to shake things up a bit.
Yeah, be proactive. Seek out those moments that can propel us forward.
That's a great way to think about it. Well, as we wrap up our deep dive into the power of habit, I want to leave you with this thought. You are the architect of your life. You have the power to design the habits that will shape your destiny. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep making those small changes that lead to extraordinary results.